Tanks are a lot of fun, mostly because they have great big guns that blow gigantic holes and stuff. For a long time, wannabe tank combatants have been daunted by simulations that are so complex they're intimidating to the average Joe who just wants to blow some stuff up in a hurry. Help is on the way in the form of Tank Commander from Domar. When we talked to Paul Ransom, lead designer of Tank Commander, we found out that the arcade feel of the game is a tribute to one of his all-time favorite arcade games, Atari's Battlezone.
Tank Commander is essentially a 90s version of Battlezone, or that's how it intended to be. We started off about 7 or 8 months ago wanting to do a multiplayer version.
You control your tank from a third-person perspective a little behind and above your tank. You can switch to other views, including first person, but the default view is good for the arcade feel of the game and lets you view your surroundings easily. From this vantage point, it's also easy to see where your turret is facing in relation to your tank's body. In creating a fast, instantly playable arcade game, Paul was faced with the challenge of making such a complex machine easy to operate.
Very soon into the project, we decided that we were going to add as much realism as we could, and to do that we ended up working with a company called Vickers, which manufacture the Challenger tank, which is the tank used by the British Army. So one phone call led to another, and before we knew it we ended up walking around the factory where they make the things and ultimately playing on simulators, although they never liked us to say we played with them.
The main thrust of Tank Commander may be action, but some strategy elements have found their way into the game as well. You control the movements of 3 other tanks as well, while the computer acts as their gunners. You can also use helicopters to scope out the terrain before you run into trouble. And if things really get heavy, call in for an airstrike to ruin the enemy's day. Although Battlezone is Tank Commander's inspiration, don't expect to see vector graphics. This game will be playable up to 640 by 480 resolution with full texture mapping. Tank Commander will also be the first armored combat game to use 3D ray trace graphics. The explosions and fireballs are great to look at, when you're not in them, that is. This led them to the offices and warehouses of Vickers, who make the Challenger tanks.
Generally you'll have one guy that will drive, another guy who aims the gun, another guy who loads the gun, and then on top of that you have a commander who orchestrates the whole shebang. So one of the problems we had when we first came to Tank Commander was how the hell are we going to get all of those facilities for one person to control it properly. So it took a lot of time, but essentially I think we've done that.
Tank Commander's best feature is that it's multiplayer compatible. 2 players can compete via modem, and up to 4 players can stalk each other across the countryside on a network. Fans of fast-paced, hard-hitting action are sure to get a kick out of Tank Commander. If you've ever emptied a pocket full of quarters into a Battlezone machine, this one's for you.